Hello there, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is ChitChat and welcome back to another episode of Planet Coaster, where we are working on the Super Mario Super Theme Park. We're going to continue building in the Bowser's Kingdom section of the park today, and wait for it, we are building the park's first inversion steel coaster. We are going to be using the Looney Turns coaster for this build, which is based off of the El Loco, which is in the Adventure Dome in Las Vegas, which is a ride I have been on. And I thought this would be a fun opportunity to build one of these coasters. At the same time, I was going back and forth a lot on what I wanted to do with this Bowser themed section, not just the Bowser Kingdom, but just this particular section that was going to have something Bowser themed. And originally I was going to do like a restaurant, but we already have like the noodle shop, which the Bob-omb themed thing, which I did off camera, is currently residing. So I'm like, maybe we don't need another eating establishment. So what can I do with Bowser? Well, when I think of Mario, I often think of, it's family-friendly content. So that means it's family-friendly coasters and family-friendly experiences. But if there was a character that would break that convention, it would likely be Bowser. And if there was a Bowser themed thing, maybe that would kind of be like, oh, this is, this isn't like the family coaster, this is the extreme coaster. So Bowser kind of maybe brings that idea forward. So I was like, okay, well, if we can kind of get away with that being the Bowser thing, then let's go full ham and let's make like the craziest inversion based coaster we can. And the El Loco or the Looney Tunes definitely fits that bill. But those coasters, at least the examples that I can think of, are very condensed. They're occupying a pretty small space. But I really wanted this thing to break forward and go and like interact with the different towers and buildings in this section of the park, just because we have a lot of open area. But I want to balance it too, because I don't want it to be where the coaster distracts from the environment and then it's no longer about the theming, it's about the coaster. So you'll see right now I'm just kind of like playing around with ideas. This isn't going to be the actual layout. This is just me like figuring out, okay, what can I get away with and what's too distracting. So for example, I don't want the coaster to go in front of the Bowser statue like it's currently doing, because then you are distracted by the coaster and not seeing the Bowser statue. So again, it's trying to find this happy medium of giving the coaster like some cool visual moments. So as you're walking into this land, you're like, whoa, that's really cool, but not to the detriment of other things. So I'm trying to find that nice balance of interacting with the environment, but not taking away from the environment. I want them to complement each other. Kind of similar to when I think about some really cool moments, the Hulk coaster and Islands of Adventure. It has this really awesome like launch system that's such an eye-catching moment and does the pretzel loop onto the moat that's kind of like the hub of Islands of Adventure. And then the rest of the coaster like takes place behind the show building. So it has these really cool moments where it's interacting with the environment and you see it and it's that wow factor. Oh, I want to ride that. But then it doesn't distract to where there's just like this conglomerate of steel structure that's taking away from the rest of the themed area, which is the Marvel stuff. So I'm trying to think of a good way of like playing around with the environment with the coaster track, but also making it so that it doesn't take away from anything. So again, I'm just going to be playing around a fair bit at this beginning section where I'm just trying to figure it out, trying to like get the lay of the land and how this is going to work. Ultimately, the layout that I come up with, I'm pretty happy with. And I think it interacts and has some really cool moments where like you can see it's going to break through those two towers that are kind of the entry point to the land. And I think that's a real fun wow moment, because it's like, oh, it's almost like a bridge between these two towers, and boom, there's the coaster. So it's like the first thing you see when you're walking in there, and then past that you see the Bowser statue. So I think that's going to be really fun. And then outside behind the show building is where we'll have kind of the wind down of the coaster. So like I said, I've been on one of these before at the Adventure Dome in Las Vegas, and I think it's a fun time. I think it's It's like scary in the right ways. It gives you that sensation that you're going to be flung out of the coaster at any moment. It has these really crazy turns, these really crazy inversions. Towards the later half of the ride, it spins you, well, not spins you, but it does a roll into a full upside down inversion and keeps you there for a considerable length of time, to where you're like checking your pockets, like, oh my God, something's going to fly out of my pockets at any moment. And then it finally goes back in and does like an inverted loop, so now you're facing right side up again and moving forward. It's a trip, and it's really fun. I can't really describe any other coaster I've been on that's like that. Maybe it's similar to, it's like the extreme version of a mouse coaster, where like, those turns are purposefully made to like really slam you against the side and make you feel like you're gonna go flying out. It's just that ramped up like times 10. And like I said, these are normally pretty condensed coasters, but I don't really want to do that. I want to break that kind of norm and have it really just go out and explore the scenery that we have built. So I'm having a lot of fun building this. I haven't done a lot of like crazy inverted coasters in Planet Coaster for whatever reason. I think it's just because the things that I pick to do themes on are just not super, in my mind, like related to like extreme coasters. It's always like super thematic or chill experiences. So I think this was just a fun opportunity to kind of break that mold and just do something like this. So having said that, I'm going to jump in and read some of the comments from the previous Mario theme park video. Let's see, we've got one from Quill Pen. I love the Gears of Fear for the Bowser ride. There's also one called the Forge that would work well. Yes, so besides the restaurant thing, I was jumping back and forth between like, should we have a flat ride, because we don't have a flat ride in this section yet. So the Gears of Fear was the one I was considering for a long time. But the Forge was also another really cool one that we could have gone with. Quill Pen also goes on to say, for the Mario Kart attraction, I recommend using a dual tracked Classica, similar to how the real Mario Kart is probably going to go. So this is interesting. Reading some of the comments, there's definitely a split between doing just a regular go-kart attraction or doing like a coaster. So it's very interesting. It seems like y'all are split as much as I am on this topic. So we'll probably think about it a little bit more as we get closer to building the actual Mario Kart attraction. Luckily, we still have some time, because I've got to finish this, got to wrap up a couple of theming elements and other lands, and then of course we got to wrap up Luigi's Mansion, which is going to be a little bit longer than I anticipate, just because we're going to change it up from the current style coaster that it is, or not coaster, but a track ride that it is, to the one that has interactivity with the lasers and the blasters and all that good stuff. Oh, here's one for the Mario Kart attraction. You should try and do Coconut Mall in the Mario Kart ride. I love Coconut Mall. That one's fun. That one's a lot of fun. If I remember correctly, don't you go into like the parking garage or something like that in that? I'm looking it up right now because I can't. Mario Kart. I'm looking that one up right now just because it's been a little bit. Because I think that one was on the Wii Mario Kart, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, oh, I remember this one. Yes, so you do go out into like the parking lot. Yeah, because like your Miis would show up in the cars. Man, this was a good one. This one was a lot of fun. I'm just watching a little video of it now and getting distracted. Yeah, Coconut Mall's a good one. That's a lot of fun. Mario Bowser says, just wanted to remind you, you haven't completed 100% of the Yoshi coaster. That is correct. I still haven't finished up all those animations. I'm a little worried because it's been so long. I need to find those character rigs of Yoshi that I made way back when to make that kind of finale for the coaster. So yeah, I still need to do that. I actually need to find those animations again, because I have gone through. I'm on a different computer altogether since then, so I need to find those files. I've recently had to back everything up. I had to replace all my hard drives just because I was still on some old, spinning drives, and I've got solid states now. So I need to find those character models so I can finish it. James Nuns says, I see you've been building behind the scenes because there is a super cool Bob-omb. Yes, there were a couple of recording sessions that I did before my hiatus that I actually never posted. and so much time had passed, and I went back and watched some of the footage, and I decided, you know, the only thing that I really did was build this Bob-omb themed restaurant. So I think I could just keep moving forward and, you know, jump onto something new instead of just repurposing old footage. So I decided, you know, we'll just continue forward. But yes, I did build a couple of things off screen, and I do that from time to time. I've done that with this park. I've done that with the Chatterbox Studios park, where if I'm just feeling like building some stuff without recording, I'll just jump in and do some small things. It's definitely nothing like super duper major. Like, I'm definitely not going to build a ride or a completely new land, you know, in the background without recording it. I'll just go in and, like, you know, maybe I need to make a new planter, or maybe I need to adjust the paths because they're not as good as I'd want them to be, or maybe I'm going to create like a new fence line or adding more trees. You know, it'll always be like small stuff or like adjustments to things that I've already created. Julene says, "Yay, I'm so happy you're continuing this. I really like watching these videos. When you're done, you should totally do a full tour of the park with POVs and presentations, because I would dig that, and I think other people will too." Yes, absolutely. When we're all done with this thing, we will for sure do a full-on tour of all the different kingdoms in the park. We'll ride all of the rides, similar to what I did for the Sonic Park that I made way back when, and the Pokemon Park that I made way back when. We will do a full tour and ride all the rides. It'll be a fun video for sure. Sam Raymond asks, "Just before you move the track out of the way at 8 minutes and 34 seconds in, I was thinking it'd be really cool for the people mover to go through the temple." Yes, but we had plans for that temple. It all comes full circle. We had plans for the temple, and it is now the lift building for the Bowser coaster. So we did end up doing that. Thank you all so much for all your comments. I definitely appreciate it. Feel free to leave any comments or suggestions or questions in the comment section down below, and I will read some of them on the next episode. So now, as you can see, we're doing some slight modifications to the environment, just making sure that we have enough clearance for the track, trying to get some like fun inversions in, but sometimes, you know, it just doesn't work, and I just got to go back to the drawing board. This is one of the reasons why I hesitate to do crazy inverted style coasters, just because there's so many options that I get a little overwhelmed, and I'm like, okay, I don't even know what to do anymore. Like I like think of rides that I've been on and like try to like reference videos and stuff, but I want this to be a cross between fantasy and reality, and still like almost heighten that level of experience for these style attractions. But at the same time, when it comes to like the inversion stuff, when I'm like looking at all the different rolls and loops and non-inversions, I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's so much here. How do I even choose? So I do get a little overwhelmed at times, which is probably one of the reasons why I tend to avoid these things, just because I know that there's like a lot of different style of builders out there, and you know, some of them lean on the more realistic side, some of them the more fantastical. I try to find somewhere in between. So when it comes to these inversions, it's just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, and sometimes I just don't know, and I have to take a full step back or just delete everything and start over again. But like I said, when we get to the final layout, I am pretty happy with it. I'll probably do some more customizing and smoothing later, but for the first episode, we basically get the track done, and now it'll just be fine-tuning and building the scenery elements and making sure that everything works and that it's, you know, not breaking anything or running over anything as it's interacting with the environment. We're also gonna finish up the Bowser statue at the very, very end. He's gonna get his turtle shell, just because you'll see him from behind. So we have to finish that. Otherwise, he's just gonna look kind of silly. So we will be finishing that up in this episode as well. Also, if you want to watch more Mario content on this channel, I have been playing Super Mario Sunshine with my good friend and fellow content creator, Caitlin McCaig. It has been an absolute blast. Those of you that know me know that Mario Sunshine is my personal favorite Mario game. I will say though, Odyssey, it's become tied with Mario Sunshine. Like, I never thought I would say that. I think gameplay wise, I love Mario Odyssey a little bit more, But in terms of just theming and music and the aesthetics, I think I still like Sunshine, because the island atmosphere just makes me think of like we're going on a vacation and it's chill and fun. Also, the voice acting is super hokey and ridiculous, and I love it. So we've been playing Mario Sunshine. Actually, funny enough, I think the episode that's dropping this week is where we go to the theme parks. So a little serendipitous there. So if you want to see us defeat Mecha Bowser in the theme park level of Mario Sunshine, that is available to watch now. Also this week, Ristar's last episode dropped, which I'm a little sad about because I love that game, and I wish there was more Ristar out there in the universe, but unfortunately the only other thing that exists is the Game Gear game. And then, of course, I've been playing Fall Guys, which, you know, it's a good time. It's chaos. It stresses me out, but it's still a good time. So if any of those sound fun, check them out. It would definitely help out the channel, and I appreciate it, so thank you. As you can see, I'm just trying to fill out these buildings now that we've taken giant chunks out of them. Trying to find a way to just make it look like they still have structural foundations and actually wouldn't crumble, and still allowing enough clearance for the coaster to go through without much issue. Of course, I'm sure the envelopes aren't exactly what they should be, so we'll still find ways to fine-tune this later. But like I said, this episode's mainly about just blocking it out and trying to make this track as complete as possible. And just watching it back on the playback, I'm pretty happy with it. I think this is fun. We're gonna start building some custom supports. Everything in this area of the park is a path, and it would not place any supports where the paths were. So now we got to make some custom supports, which I'm fine with, just because we can add some theming elements to it anyways and have a bit more control. I think on the Yoshi coaster, we added a lot of custom supports for the same reason, and I remember that being particularly time consuming. I think I want to make a custom texture with the Bowser, like the evil Bowser icon that you see in like every Mario game. It's like on every flag checkpoint before you actually hit it. I think I want to make that design and place that throughout this area of the park. I'm trying to think what things besides just screens that I can apply that texture to, because I think that would be really fun. Maybe even apply them to these custom supports. Just have like, I wish maybe there is a banner that you can apply a custom texture to. I'm hoping there is. I don't think there is, but if there is one, that would be really cool, because then I could just have but then of course that's animated, and I don't think you can apply anything to an object that's animated. That's such a bummer. I think the closest thing we come to in Planet Coaster is maybe those doors, the screen doors that you can apply a texture to or a video to. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the only thing that's animated that we can apply something custom like that. Otherwise, I just gotta, you know, finally get into the Theme Maker's Toolkit and just bite the bullet and make it in 3D. I'm scared. It's been so long since I've done anything in a 3D program, and I've never messed with Blender before. I've only worked in 3ds Max and Maya, and that was back during my college days. And like, I think I've said this plenty of times on my other videos, but I was always focused on doing 2D animations, so 3D was never something I was particularly invested in. It's definitely a tool I wouldn't mind having in my brain for future personal and professional projects. It's probably not a bad tool to have. You know, and speaking of Mario Sunshine, I think I did see a couple of comments about having that as an area to this park. And like I said, Sunshine's my favorite game in the Mario franchise, and as much as I want to add something like that to this park, I think a water attraction would be really stinking cool. I can't. There's just, I've already had to drop my settings down to medium when I do some of the beauty shots and when I'm working on the actual rides, just because even with my upgraded machine, this park is starting to have some playback issues. And I'll have moments where I'm trying to click on something or I'm trying to create something, and there's just enough lag to where it's not fully like accepting my inputs, or it's lagging behind enough to where it messes that input up. And if I add another area to this park, that's only going to get worse. So we're definitely locked in terms of what areas are going to be featured. And I think we have enough diversity of the Mario kingdoms to have like visual differentiation between all of them. And I'm just gonna finish these things up. Like that's not to say that we can't make something later in the future that's its own like little mini build, but in terms of full scale parks, yeah, these lands are it. And hopefully y'all can understand. I just I want to make sure that when other people get to jump into this park, hopefully in the future, that they can run this thing without too much issue. Because like I said, I've even had to kick out all the peeps just because having people walking around this park just slowed it to a crawl. And I'm gonna try my best to get them in once the park's completely finished, just so that we can have like characters moving around and interacting and making it feel like an actual park when we do the final videos, hopefully without too much issue. But I have a feeling it will be a little problematic. I'm hoping not, but I'll have to mess around with my graphic settings and we'll see how much we can get away with. So like I said, one of the last things we're going to do on this video is give Bowser his proper shell, which right now looks like a pool floaty. That's the one like downside to using these shapes. Unless you duplicate them up like a lot, they have that very balloon style look and texture to them with like the super duper highlights, which sometimes works for certain characters and sometimes it doesn't. I wasn't too concerned with the detail of this shell just because you're not really going to see it that often and it's really not the focal point of the statue, but I definitely wanted it to be there. But I wasn't too concerned with its overall appearance. You're not going to see it very often when it comes to this attraction. I have not yet incorporated the path system to go into this section and start the process for the queue. So we're gonna see how that plays out, just because building custom steps and trying to get it lined up with the pathing system can sometimes be a little bit of a butt. And I definitely don't want the peeps to look like they're sinking halfway into the steps. So I try to get it as close as possible. I had the same particular issue with the custom bridges that I built for the Banjo and Kazooie ride over in the Chatterbox Studio Park. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. To wrap things up, we are going to go on a ride of the current state of this Bowser attraction, which we definitely need a name for. So if y'all have any name suggestions, feel free to leave those in the comment section down below as well. Like I said, thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Hope you enjoy the ride, and I will chat with you on the next video.